didn't want to see a football, didn't want to kick a football. Going through what I've gone through since August last year, I wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy. But yeah, football's been massive for me, huge. Earliest, that's a tough one, going back a long time ago. Throwing it back a long way, just playing with mates and stuff, and we all played for the same team. And the earliest memory was probably throwing it back, going sort of R&T tours where you go away for the weekend and you're enjoying it. You've got the arcades there at a young age. I think I must have been 5 or 6, and I think we went on to win the tournament. And it was just being at that age and just being let loose, having fun in the arcades and stuff. That's probably my earliest memory. It's always everyone's dream as a young boy to play, and you always look at playing on TV and you always look at your role models. But it's probably at 7 I sort of got taken into academies, and sort of at that stage I still didn't realise and recognise what it was and what I was doing. And then it got to probably the age of 12, 13 where I sort of made a move to Southend United, being there for 3 years, and then you sort of get to the stage where it's now you're looking for your scholarship, and that's where it then starts to come sort of real that I wanted this to make my full-time job. I want to be on TV, I want to play and make my dream come true. So I'd probably say it really hit me probably at the age of probably 14, 15 that this is where I wanted to be and this is what I wanted to do. Sort of got released from Southend, which was totally out of my hands. Back in the day it was all about your height and how tall you were, and they looked at your parents, and my mum's not the biggest, she's 4'10", so they sort of looked at that and said I'm not going to grow, and I was a late developer. But stepping out of the game, I actually took a year out, to the fact where I didn't want to see a football, didn't want to kick a football, and at the age of sort of 15, 16 I resulted to playing Xbox, and that's what I did. Sat in my bedroom, would eat dinner in my bedroom. I just didn't want to see a football, didn't want to watch it, didn't want to play it, didn't want to be around it. So I'd say that's probably a low point in my life of where I was, and it was just a phone call from someone that I'd been around, had met a few times, and just sort of said, like, do you want to get back into it? And that was a year later. So I didn't really get back in. That was at 15. I didn't get back into football till 16. So I took a whole year out to sort of just have time to myself, really. And if I'm honest, I hated it. But then stepping back into that, and at 16 getting chucked into sort of men's football, it's tough because you're coming up against people that have played league level, people that at that stage in football that just wanted to beat you up, wanted to kick you, punch you, elbow you, and it sort of creates the person I am probably now. That the physicality side of football back then was crazy, and it was tough because I was only small, I was only little, but you sort of learn to deal with it and get on with it and just play your football. And if I'm honest, I didn't want to be on the ball because it was just getting beaten up at each week. But again, it probably wouldn't make me the player I am today on the physicality side. Going through what I've gone through since August last year, I wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy to go through what I've been through. But football has been my out. Needing, as horrible as it sounds, needing time to yourself and away from your missus when you live together. Football, that was football for me. And being around a group of people that understood what I'd been through and were there by my side and were supportive of it. Football was huge. It gave me some thinking time, but it also kept some normality in my life. It was the main thing. That's all I focused on, and it sort of just gave me a little bit of glimmer of hope that you can still get through life with what you're going through, because there's been some down times, some real dark moments since, I'd probably say August to sort of even now you still get them. but football's been the biggest part of my life, and probably the last 8 months, 9 months, just to get over. I say get over, or should I say deal with it, is probably a better word to use. But yeah, it's been massive for me, huge. And it was sort of a little bit out of my hands of who wanted to sign me or who wanted to bring me in. There was a few options on the table. To then find out St Albans was one of them that were interested. And I think playing against St Albans City for the last season and a bit, and seeing the way they played and the atmosphere, the crowds, and the club itself, so sort of professional in what they do, and it's always been a nice place to come, even though when you're on the other hand it's not so nice because you've got the fans battering you each week. But it sort of drew me in. One, it was local, which was a big factor for me this side of Christmas, being closer to home, being closer to the family, and then when I sort of got the conversation to have with Dave and John, I knew I wanted to be here straight away. I just sort of felt like I fitted in with the style of football, and the ambitions and the goals of where they want to be and what they want to do, and that drew me in straight away. As soon as I walked in the door, coming here, meeting with the chairman, the first question, I don't think many people know this, the first question he asked me was, how am I, how's my wife? He didn't ask anything about what my thoughts are around football, what I'm doing, work, anything. His first question was, how's you and your wife? And for me, stepping in, knowing that I didn't know if anyone knew about it or knew the depth into it or how serious everything was, for him to ask that as a chairman and to put his arm around me, I knew straight away that I'd have the support from the people around the club. And being in and around the boys, some of the boys, they've asked a question, but I know I've got their support as well, and even down to yourself and people, everyone around the club, the support is there, and I know it's there. And the relationship I've built with boys around it, and Dave, John, the media teams like yourselves, the chairman, the support is crazy. To step into somewhere that's unknown and do people know about it, everyone's been by my side by it, step by step. It was a big change for me from where I was at. And I wouldn't say it was hard to fit in, because I want to get the ball down, I want to play football. So to slot in, it was pretty easy. The hardest thing was coming in without knowing the boys properly, without having a training session, and sort of that Oxford City game, meeting two of the boys to travel with, and then you're sitting in the change room and everyone's walking in saying, oh, nice to meet you, and you're like, okay, this is real now. But to slot in and play the football that Dave wants to play, it was easy, because it's the style of football that I wanted to play from where I was previously, but that never worked out. Our little run that we've put on the last 4 games, 1-3, drawn 1, and it's never out of our minds. We're never in doubt that we will get it. That's where we want to be. We're all on the same sheet. We all want to play playoffs. Depending on where we finish in the playoffs, it would be nice, obviously, to get a home draw. But again, we need the last 5 to 6 games to really push on and get the results that we need, and sort of cement ourselves in that playoffs. But no doubt in my mind that when I come in here, that was my goal, to help the club, the players, especially Dave, to achieve that. And fingers crossed that come the last game of the season that we're in there and in and about it. To have a change room where you've got everyone that gets on and everyone's happy for everyone, regardless of the situation, it just brings everyone, we're so tight-knit in there, like you said, and especially when you go out on the pitch, you really feel it. And everyone looks at each other to G themselves up, and the connections that sort of I've had to sort of try and make coming in halfway through the season, I feel like I've been here for a good year already around the boys. Just so comfortable, but on the pitch it helps massively, because you have that look at one person and they give you that G up, and you're like, well, I'm not here for myself, I'm here for the team. So it's, the change room at the moment is in a real good place. Yeah, to be given the armband, if I'm honest, I was shocked. Been here since January, and you got boys that have been here a long time. But previous clubs I've been at, I've always been a captain, and I love leading by example. And if one or two of the boys will look at me for that G up on the pitch, which is always nice to feel that there's a connection there that you've built, and the boys can look at you and go, "Can you carry us through?" sort of thing. But fans are a massive part of non-league football. As everyone says, they're the 12th man, and they are. And especially here with such a big crowd, when you hear the silence in the crowd, you need to get them involved, because then you get that extra 5-10% to really push on and progress in the game. And I use Havant's game for an example. I said it last night to my wife, that the first sort of 15-20 minutes were really, really quiet. And then we got that goal, and sort of that little G up to them knows we're here. Like, we want to win, we want playoffs, and we're going to do everything we can to get it. But having a big fan base makes a massive difference on and off the field. Even when you walk into the bar and it's rammed and the fans want to come up to you and speak to you and congratulate you, and off the pitch when you hear them singing, okay, not necessarily my name, but you hear them singing someone's name, it's a massive boost. And all you can say to the fans is, one, thank you for the support so far, but we've got 5-6 games where we need you in big voices for the rest of the season to push on and get these playoffs.